into insulating space, there to solve the problem of creating an artificial consciousness. Dangerous work. Very dangerous. Artificial consciousness had a long history of turning against its creators. It went rogue with ferocious violence. Even many of the uncloned had perished in agony. Nobody could say why. But the project's directors at Moonbase were persistent. Again and again they sent the same cloned crew into space. Features flashed into Flattery's mind as he thought the names. A Gerald Timberlake, a John Bickle, a Prue Weygand. Raja Flattery. Raja Lon Flattery. He glimpsed his own face in a long-gone mirror. Fair hair, narrow features, disdainful. And the void ships carried others. Many others. They carried cloned colonists, gene banks in hive tanks. Cheap flesh to be sacrificed in distant explosions where the uncloned would not be harmed. Cheap flesh to gather data for the uncloned. Each new venture into the void went out with a bit more information for the wakeful umbilicus crew and those encased in hive. As I am encased now. Colonists, livestock, plants. Each void ship carried what it needed to create another Earth. That was the carrot luring them onward. And the ship, certain death if they failed to create an artificial consciousness. Moonbase knew that ships and clones were cheap where materials and inexpensive energy were abundant, as they were on the moon. Tick. Who is bringing me out of hibernation? And why? Flattery thought about that while he tried to extend his globe of awareness into the unresponsive darkness. Who? Why? He knew that he had failed to blow up his ship after it had exhibited consciousness, using Bickle as an imprint on the computer they had built. I did not blow up the ship. Something prevented me from... Ship! More memories flooded into his mind. They had achieved the artificial consciousness to direct their ship, and it had whisked them far across space to the Tau Ceti system, where there were no inhabitable planets. Moonbase probes had made certain of that much earlier. No inhabitable planets. It was part of the frustration built into the project. No void ship could be allowed to choose the long way to Tau Ceti Sanctuary. Moonbase could not allow that. It would be too tempting for the cloned crew. Breed our own replacements. Let our descendants find Tau Ceti. And to hell with Project Consciousness. If they voted that course, the chaplain-psychiatrist was charged to expose the empty goal and stand ready with the destruct button. Win, lose, or draw, we were supposed to die. And only the chaplain-psychiatrist had been allowed to suspect this. The serial void ships and their cloned cargo had one mission: gather information and send it back to Moonbase. Ship. That was it, of course. They had created much more than consciousness in their computer and its companion system, which Bickle had called the Ox. They had made ship, and ship had whisked them across space in an impossible eye blink. Destination: Tau Ceti. That was, after all, the built-in command, the target programmed into their computer. But where there had been no inhabitable planet, ship had created one. A paradise planet, an Earth idealized out of every human dream. Ship had done this thing, but then had come ship's terrible demand. You must decide how you will worship me. Ship had assumed attributes of God or Satan. Flattery was never sure which, but he had sensed that awesome power.